99 cents. Would they fall within the criteria of the law?
I think if it was looked upon by an auditor, they were trying to avoid the public bidding laws.
And the other thing is, in relation to what was originally put down, and based upon what I've seen in front of me in the way of plans, some of what's being proposed to be put forth here for this $5,000 has already been done. It's already been completed. You know, so it's questionable as to whether or not you're contracting for additional work that needs to be done to complete the effort. Sergeant Jones.
Yeah, I've been a member
More
of the-
Jones in this room. No relationship.
I've been a member from the committee since '96, and I can assure you that when we met Dan Riccatelli from Feingold and Alexander, on the first meeting when he was introduced to us, he stated he was there pro bono. The drawings that he showed us were sketches done by a magic marker to the existing building. The members on the committee that were there prior to the new committee we have now knew exactly what was going on. On the second meeting with Riccatelli, he apologized for that letter that everybody's passing around, and he stated he was still there pro bono. Now, with the info we got and the drawings we've done, the changes we made, and the different people we have on our committee, I'm pretty positive that the committee, without asking for any funds at all, can take the info and the drawings we have and present it properly at the next town meeting, which I believe is February 12th. From there, we'll be looking for Article 3 and Article 4, which we actually right now have attached dollar figures to those articles. Between now and then, we'll have to get ready for the debates and all the loopholes and all the barriers thrown in our way. But as a committee, we're willing to work twice as hard for the next 2 weeks so that we can meet that February 12th deadline. So right now, as far as paying, we can contact Alexander and Feingold and Alexander and say, listen, we're not going to be able to accept any services from you further. However, when we go out to bid, you'll be considered at that time. So I don't want to see the thing stall in the water right now, or I don't want to die before February 12th. And if the board has to, we can put something together for February 12th and make it understandable so the voter has a choice and a good understanding of what we're getting them into.
Well, I think just based upon the information that we've been provided by your committee, I think there's a compelling argument that this is a viable project that's worthy of consideration by the public for those that want to keep the police station in the center of town as opposed to behind town hall. So I agree with you, Senator Jones. Yeah. Mr. Jones, Chairman Mr. Jones.
Agreeing up to 90% of what Dan said, as being a person who's been to town meetings since he was 21 years old, when you get in front of town meeting to talk technical things, if you don't have an architect there to talk to questions, you're dead in the water.
Mr. Reitmeyer.
I, for one, will not be standing up in front of town meeting with an 8.5 by 11 sheet trying to explain to them what the police station is going to look like. We don't have an architect there. We have nothing. Period.
Mr. Finance Committee Chairman Jones.
Well, I'm trying to summarize some of this because I think we're going down too many roads again. I only had the benefit tonight of this original January 16 letter, number one. Number two, I was at various meetings and I heard the word pro bono, just as Sergeant Jones has mentioned. Unfortunately, part of this came about when certain members of the police building committee were leaving, and there was a hiatus there of bringing in new people, and I don't think there was a collective group at the time really to steer it. And I've spent 3 or 4 hours discussing this with various people, and first I think asking for $499 is pushing the envelope. As much as I think it's wrong to suggest that they shouldn't get any money and go to town meeting. So reading that letter where up to a certain date was pro bono, and that only $3,000 remained to finish and complete the work, plus expenses reimbursable, my only comment was, Three's fine. I would like that reimbursable expense cap, so I know what it is, because that can grow. And that was my offering to the town administrator as a reasonable resolution to this dilemma caused by people who were at present and suffered by people who were absent. And I'd like to see this thing moved on. Selectmen somehow, with the approval of the town administrator, approve the 3,000 plus a capped expense, give it to the police building committee, and let's move forward.
Thank you. Mr. Rowe?
Mr. Chairman, I agree, I don't think we're gonna go any place with this tonight, but I would make a motion that we authorize the town administrator or whoever to give the committee $3,000 to go as far as they can with it. And if there's other ways, if they can come back in the meantime, somehow or other, that's fine. But for right now, I move that we appropriate or transfer or whatever it is, $3,000 to the committee.
For clarity, Mr. Chair,
Yes, for clarity, Mr.
could I
Jones.
suggest plus a capped expense amount? So we are within the 4 square corners of where we have to be?
I would think that would make sense as a friendly amendment, because the suggestion was, according to the first letter that was sent, that it's $3,000 plus additional reimbursable expenses for printing. So whatever the printing cost, we would just capped. Are you waving to me, Mr.?
No, I'm just,
Are you waving?
no, I'm not waving at you, no, I want to say something if I
Oh, you
can.
do, okay.
I think, one of the things that needs to be absolutely concretely understood is that this firm has done some work pro bono. And to go the next step, they're going to charge us. And because they've done all this work pro bono, it makes sense to do this work and pay them for it, even though it may not be in line with, town policy, but it is within the legal limits of the law.
Well, it isn't, because I can't quote the laws, but I know that there are certain restrictions on what you can do pro bono to get your foot in the door, and then all of a sudden you've got the client at a point in time where they have no other way to go. And I'm not saying we're at that stage of the game,
No.
because we're not, by any means.
Not even there.
But the thing is, there's a perception here at times that, things aren't done according to Hoyle, and as a result, everybody starts pointing the finger at one another, and that seems to be the MO around here these days.
Well, that's
Getting
why
out
I
of
wanted to
this
make that
stuff.
statement.
Right, so there's no doubt about it. Franco and Alexander has done a tremendous service to the community on a pro bono basis. They're looking for, depending on which letter you're looking at, but going with this one here so that it can be under the 30B regulations, to get us to town meeting. After that point, it's all out for bid anyway, because I would hope the town meeting, and again, we'll talk about this Monday night under the informational hearing, that the town meeting would go for the schematic designs for this particular proposal, so we'll have a very, very clear understanding what the cost and exposure is going to be. We have an idea now.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. Jones.
clarify what George said. Does he say there's a way to do it?
It appears as though there may be a way to do it, and Mr. Rhodes made a motion to authorize the town administrator to go up to $3,000 plus capped expenses, and finding a methodology to accomplish that.
$3,000 plus?
Capped expenses, as they pointed out there, January 16th, for printing, reimbursable expenses for printing.
The capped expenses
But we-
shouldn't be another 3.
No, but we want it capped. I don't imagine the printing cost is going to be extraordinary.
So, I think what I'm asking then is, are you telling me my motion is for more than 3,000?
No, it's a capped expense.
Well, it is the 3,000 plus reimbursable expenses for printing.
No, that's what they want. Capped
Okay.
expenses, so.
So it's 3,000 plus the cost of whatever
3,000
printing,
plus.
plus the printing cost that they incur.
Okay. That's fine, because my intent was to let the committee decide, for instance, there's 2 presentations, one to the Public Safety Building Committee and one to town meeting, and maybe they don't need the public safety one,
One of them they already did.
or whatever, so that they can spend the money the way they feel is the best way.
But it's through,
One other question. Tomorrow morning, I have to call Franklin and Alexander and let them know, do I have money or I don't? As of this minute, they think I don't have dime one in my pocket, which I don't. So I tell them tomorrow morning, it's $3,000 plus expenses for
You tell them
printing,
that he has to
with no
contact...
cap on the printing?
No, no, you tell them to contact...
No, wait a minute, you haven't put a cap. I want to know what I tell him
That
at 10
gentleman over
o'clock.
there, we're authorizing the town administrator, again, he already has the authorization on the charter to enter into a contract. So you refer Mr. Alexander to Mr. Tom Younger to work out the details and the methodology of payment and how it's going to be done. Mr. Younger, Mr. Dow will work out the funding source. It appears as though they can utilize the $5,000 out of that old article, legitimately do that. Then obviously we don't have to go for reserve fund transfer and tap into that, which being still early in the year, and we don't have to wait to a town meeting to appropriate.
One other quick one then. I promised this man I'd talk to him at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. I'll call him and refer him to call Tom.
Right? Yeah.
I'll just tell him, as of now, the committee does not have dime one, call him.
As you can tell the gentleman that as of last night, this evening, Board of Selectmen authorized the town administrator to enter into a contract and come to an agreement.
Second.
It's been seconded.
Oh, it has been
Yeah, it's been
See
seconded.
it.
I didn't hear it.
That was seconded.
Okay, good.
So,
That's if we vote favorably.
I think my question now is that if we pass this now, they will have the 3,000 tomorrow.
He has the $3,000 tomorrow to expend on their behalf. This is what we have to understand. The process is, town administrator signs all the contracts and authorizes payments. Ad hoc committees, standing committees, review commissions, all we do is authorize payment. The actual payment is fully authorized by the town administrator. It's vested in that position, the person that holds
Okay,
it.
I don't have a problem with that, but I think I'd like to have it clear tonight, that my understanding is that if in fact this passes, it passes with the intent is that this will be done
Well,
tomorrow.
obviously, if it passes, it's the intent to get...
So that they will have the money. I don't want to...
Presentation for town meeting.
Right,
Sure.
okay.
Will the town administrator be in the town hall until 1 o'clock tomorrow?
I said I would be here, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. I said I would be here after Mr. Jones speaks with me, it's at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Mr.
Please
Beal.
don't go
Yeah, I
off the
just
clock.
don't come back.
We had that happen.
Just
Mr. Beal.
just on discussion, I do plan on voting for this, because I want to do whatever I can to get this project going forward. But I also, for the record, do want to state that there's a $1,000 discrepancy, because the architect went from 6,000, 3 and 3, to 5. I'm not going to belabor the point. I'm going to vote for it, but there is a $1,000 discrepancy in these figures. And those are his figures.
Mr. Baker.
That $5,000 is preceded by, you also indicated in a quick verbal budget estimate to your police station building committee that the cost to complete the material required for your town meeting would be $5,000. I repeat, in a quick verbal budget.
And if I may just ask, Mr. Chair, I have 6,000 in writing also.
Correct.
Okay, that's all. I'm going to vote for it. Just want that clear, that it doesn't get by me. That's all.
And again, the other thing is that the point I'd like to again reiterate is that it's important for all the committees and commissions in town to understand that there are certain procedures and laws that have to be adhered to. You know, if public interest groups out there want to raise money and hire people to do things, even that has to be done with the authorization of town. Again, this outfit was authorized, and go ahead and take a look. You want to go pro bono, please do. You know, we appreciate it very much. And we do appreciate the work that they've done for this state, and appreciate what the police station building committee. So the motion before us, again, is we'll authorize $3,000 plus associated reimbursable expenses for printing, to be determined by the town administrator, with the advice of the police station building committee. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Mr. Younger.
Just one quick clarification. First of all, I hope this passes, town meeting along with everyone else here. I'm not an obstructionist on this project, I was just doing my job. But I want to just clarify, if for some unforeseen reason this does not get approved at town meeting, and you need further work by Feingold and Associates, if you start going, you take 3,000 and another 3,000 or 3,200, you can't do that, because that's part of the overall $5,000 package, so just be aware regarding that. We all hope it passes.
Mr. Baker?
And to that end, I think anytime a committee chair changes that will have anything to do with any monetary projects, we probably should have a packet go to them and have them sit down with